Call the meeting to order. For those who care to, please rise for an opening prayer. Salute our flag. Mr. Mendez, would you open us in a word of prayer, sir?
Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the right to gather today. We thank you for everyone in this room. Lord, we ask that you lead and guide us to this meeting. And it's in your Son's precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On appointments and announcements and vote, we'd like to reappoint Denny Robbins to the Board of Adjustments. I'd like to have a motion.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. On the next item, I'd like to reappoint Karen Pittman to the Board of Adjustments. I'd like to have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Nothing on public hearing. We do have some citizen participation tonight. Anyone wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step forward, state your name, sign in, and give us your 3 minutes, 3 to 5. Is there a pen up there?
Yes, there is.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're not going to be able to read my handwriting, but I'll put
That's
something
all right.
down.
I can't read mine.
12 years with what I've got, you can't write nothing.
No.
Hello, Mayor,
No, the phone.
gentlemen, ladies.
One that was
I'm
in
just
the-
going to take a few minutes of your time here. My name is Rick Hill. I live at 461 Denver Place in Bolivar, Missouri. First of all, I wanted to thank Chief Lawton for turning the investigation into the killing of Destry Meekle over to the Greene County Sheriff's Department. That helps with the transparency and accountability of the investigation. All of us in this room tonight did not want this death to occur. How do we, as concerned citizens, prevent such an incident from happening again? The person in control that day is an employee of the taxpayer. The person in control that day made a decision that we, as taxpayers, allow him to make. The decision of life or death rests in the hands of every law enforcement officer in the U.S. We, the people, give them this authority. Every time an officer kills a citizen, transparency and accountability should be first in the minds of those we, the citizens, pay to examine and report on these incidents. You work for us. Withholding evidence or not, speaking due to pending litigation is not the proper way to be transparent. If the police department or city gets sued, they don't pay the bills. The taxpayer does. When the killing of Destry Meekle has been investigated and a ruling has been handed down, we will come back to this meeting and talk some more. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Melissa Wagner. I know we had to do this. I would have done it before I came up here to speak.
Okay. Tell us your address too, Ms. Wagner.
264 Hopkins Road in Highlandville.
Thank you.
My name is Melissa Wagner. I am with Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers. I am here because of the tragic event that happened on 2/16 of this year. A good man lost his life, and it was taken by a Republic tax-paid governmental employee. There were no witnesses to the bullets that flew into Destry except for the man that fired those bullets. There was no witness to Destry's action in that garage except for the man who took Destry's life. A man who now faces an internal and criminal investigation because of his actions. A man whose freedom and livelihood is now threatened because of what he did February 16th. Why should the public, the investigators, and Destry's family have to trust Officer Tinsley at his word? The investigators don't have to prove Tinsley's story true. Lack of evidence here is all Tinsley will need with getting away with killing with no repercussions. The only thing that would have told the whole truth and could be 100% trusted would have been body cameras. I recently talked to the chief and he says he wants body cameras. It's just going to be up to city council on whether or not they fund those body cameras. Let me go on here. Even a working dash camera would have caught the audio in the garage to further help the investigators. Republic is a small police force with few officers. I implore City Council to apply for federal grants to equip RPD officers with body cameras. In today's age of tax-paid law enforcement, no citizen, no city, no investigator, and no victims should have to trust an officer at their word when they do something as major as killing or hurting a citizen. At the end of this, I ask that you be involved in this investigation. If Tinsley is deemed justified, you should sunshine request everything in this investigation. Please request it, and please go over it thoroughly to make sure that Tinsley is really the officer you see fit for Republic streets. The Missouri Post Commission should also be made aware of this incident. I implore you to notify the Post Commission of Missouri and follow through with them to see if they think Tinsley should keep his police officer license. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura Lee. I live at 4895 West Madison, Springfield, Missouri, 65802. Thank you very much for allowing me to read this letter to you. This is a letter from Destry's mother, and it's a little difficult to read, so please forgive me if I stumble. April 9th, 2016, to the Republic, Missouri City Council. Dear Council members, on February 16th, 2016, events in your city changed my life forever. As Destry Gene Meikle sat in his car, having a grand mal seizure, he was shot and killed by police officer John Tinsley. Destry was my son. I will not attempt to describe the first hours and days as my family went through the gut-wrenching anguish and pain of learning that our baby had been murdered so senselessly by one whom he would have expected was there to rescue him. I have been tortured by what those last minutes must have been like for Destry. He was a loving and caring person who would never have done anything to cause pain or discomfort to anybody. And so he would have been grateful that he was able to pull into a driveway so as not to take the chance of hurting anybody else. When the dreaded seizure came, he would have become unconscious and aware of his surroundings as his car hit first one garage and then a second. Had Destry been allowed to live, he would have been the first person there to see that the damage was repaired. I know this because he was always one of the first to volunteer when help was needed. It would have been some time before Destry would have come out of the seizure, and it would have been unclear to him what was happening. I know this because of the seizures I have helped him through in the past. I cannot help but wonder, did Destry hear the sirens of the fire department and EMTs? Did he feel relief that they were there and would be helping him? Did he wonder why they were delaying the help? Was he alert enough to feel the pain of the bullets as they ripped through his body? Did he wonder why someone was shooting him? Did he think of his 3 daughters, his sweetheart, his mother, and his brothers and sisters? As his life ebbed quickly from him, at what point did he realize that he would not live to see his daughters graduate, see them get married, see his grandchildren, nor see any of his family or life again? Destry was a law-abiding citizen and a credit to his family and the community in which he lived. He had a responsible job in management with Walmart and took pride in his loyalty to his family, church, and his work. He paid his bills and stayed close with his family. He called and texted his mothers and siblings regularly. He loved and he laughed a lot, and he found pleasure in pleasing others. The forensic evidence supports that there was absolutely no provocation to justify John Tinsley shooting my son. I pray that those in the City of Republic who have the power and authority to mete out justice do not let this action go unpunished. When a police officer recklessly abuses the power and authority that we entrust with them, steps should be taken to prevent this from ever happening again. Today, it is my son, but one has to ask who will be next. Perhaps it will be your son, your brother, your mother or sister or aunt or cousin or uncle. Our family requests that John Tinsley never be allowed to legally put another family through the heart-wrenching pain our family has endured and continues to go through. We ask that you take the necessary steps to ensure that the people of Republic be allowed to feel safe again and be free from the fear and the threat of one who is supposed to protect them. Now is the time for the City of Republic to stand and say, "Not in our city." Now is the time for this council to say, "Not on our watch." Thank you for your time and attention. Sincerely, Mavis C. Meikle, mother of a deceased son, Destry G. Meikle. And thank you all very much for allowing me to read this letter to you.
I'm Melanie Goldborn, 126 Southwest Oak Street in Billings, Missouri. Destry was in the state of Missouri because of me. He lived in Norman, Oklahoma. He is in management for Walmart for 27 years. Strong management. They would put him in Walmart stores to open them. He was in a brand new store in Norman, and he moved here to work in a struggling store in South Campbell in Springfield. He was one of the, and I know when people die, everyone says he was the nicest person I knew, but he was truly one of the kindest people I knew. Commonly, he was doing things. He wasn't doing it for public show. He wasn't doing it with a camera he wasn't doing it for public show. He never did. One time he called me. He was working, and this new guy just started an associate at Walmart. He came in with the wrong uniform on. He didn't have enough money to buy the shirt that was needed, and he only had one. And so he'd worn out the one, and he didn't have washer and dryer. He just moved. It was just fell on bad luck, bad times. And Destry knew if he sent this guy home that he would be fired for the new Walmart policy. So Destry went and bought him shirts and said, "Get back to work and just don't mention this," because he knew also he could also get in trouble from management. He was a law-abiding citizen. The only time I really knew of Destry to break some of the rules were to help somebody. The other time I knew of him to break a rule was when there was an elderly couple at Walmart in the ice. It was in January, and they were stranded. And Destry was like, it's against the policy to help a vehicle, because then you're liable. If you're a management at Walmart, then you're liable if you did something wrong to the vehicle. But he did. He took his lunch break, and he did it anyway. He knew he would get in trouble. And I know that he did so many things for people that was just so much him, that when I took his shirts, his button-down shirts, I ironed them. I took his button-down shirts into management and told them the story of what he had done. And they said, "We didn't know that he had done that." And he had told no one. And I said, "But I want you to have these shirts for if anyone else is in this situation where they want to work, but they don't have the money for their uniforms." This is what Destry would have wanted. He was one of the kindest people. You hear of people, they say they're kind to a fault. That was Destry. Sometimes had trouble drawing boundaries with others and saying no, and he would get walked on at times. Subsequently, he was truly a meek person. You don't see many meek people. And I told his sisters, I said, nobody's going to believe really what type of person Destry was. He would never, when I saw the news come across and say police rampage and things of that nature, it does not match the person that Destry Meikle was. Not even anywhere close. On the 911 tapes, I strongly, as a person, as an individual, and for you to look very closely at the forensic evidence, no matter what is said or not said. To look at the forensic evidence, it tells the truth. The forensic evidence doesn't change the stories. I know stories actually have already started changing. And I spoke with the attorney's office today, matter of fact, after giving an interview with KSPR, and they said the story has actually already started changing. So, forensic evidence does not change. Everything that comes out in this investigation, I want you to do, as Alyssa said, and look very strongly at that. This man was not a criminal, didn't even have a parking ticket. No, Destry was, I'm going to tell two more quick stories. Destry, I was in church with Destry one time, and I looked up and he wasn't there, and he was gone for quite a while. I said, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" He said, "I just helped someone in the bathroom." I found out later he helped the gentleman in the wheelchair at the end of the pew. He looked kind of funny because I'm a registered nurse. And he had kind of gone out of his comfort zone into helping him, and he kind of had a funny look on his face, like, oh, what did I get into? But he was that type of person. There's so many people. I'm a single mother with 2 boys. You don't know the damage that has been done to my children, and I'm sure to his children and his family. I ask my children, we have a quiet time every night, and what our quiet time consists of is praying and scripture reading and kind of a brain drain about how our day was. And I really am close to my children because of that. It's kind of the glue that holds my family together, the 3 of us. And I asked the boys, I said, what legacy did Destry leave with you? And my 11-year-old boy said, a legacy to be nicer to people. And my 13-year-old boy said, Mom, now I know the kind of man I want to be. And I thought, right on. If you were half the man Destry was, right on. Who in this room can really say that? Do your children say that about you? My children said that about Destry. This is such a loss. This is not a thug. I've heard. The reason I'm testifying of his character, because I've heard from different business establishments, and even last night I spoke with a convenience store employee about how Republic Police Department was going around and, saying things about Destry. And I thought, this needs to turn. He's not a criminal. You shouldn't be patting yourself on the back for taking a thug off the street, because he wasn't a thug off the street. He was someone you want on your street. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak to council about anything not on the agenda?
Thank you for letting us talk.
Anyone else?
May I say another something?
Yes, ma'am.
I've already met with the Judicial Training Center in Springfield regarding this topic. This is something I show in my company when I talk to people about franchising my company. And this is a graph I give, and I show that this is called, right here at the peak, the silver tsunami. That's what we're getting ready to go through in the next few years or so, 20 years. And that's when most of our society, as we know, the baby boomers, will be aged. This is not going to be an isolated incident, somebody having a medical issue on the road. It's just not. Statistics and common sense will lead us to know 1 in every 10 individuals have seizures, even if they've never had a seizure before. I have a corporate person in my family who had a seizure once and fell down the stairs, and she's never had one again, and the neurologist said it's very common. It's not uncommon for an average person to have a seizure once in their life, sometimes twice, and then never have one again. We're going to have heart attacks. We're going to have strokes. We're going to have people with blood sugar issues. We need to not let this stuff happen. This needs to stop. So our population is going to lean more that direction. Our training needs to lean more that direction. And we need to serve and protect. We need to save the lives of people.
in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to anything? Not on the agenda. Anyone else wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, please come forward, state your name, sign in, give us your best 3 minutes. Seeing none, citizen participation closed. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we'd like to have a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention. Motion carries 7-0 to 1. On the financial report, welcome, Mr. O'Donnell. Give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Trust everyone has received their financial packet one way or another. Just have a few brief comments to make. With respect to the cash report, see that our unrestricted cash increased by approximately $45,000 versus last month, which is most welcome. Most of that is primarily our revenues and expenses for the month at $34,500. The remainder is between balance sheet accounts, about $10,000 right there. So always a good trend. Second point is the debt outstanding report, the one-page report showing what the city owes. We have a new entry on there, and that is a lease that the city entered into for the purchase of 8 in-car cameras for the police department, and that is highlighted in yellow on the report. So that is our only change there as we continue to pay down our various debt instruments. Third thing I want to talk about is the revenue and expense reports. You'll see that we have 2 of them in your packet, one for December of 2015 and one for March 2016. And it's a little more, there's a little bit more detail on here. And just to go back, every March we in the Finance Department do an analysis of revenue and expense accounts for the purpose of determining what expenses what items that were recorded in 2016 belong to 2015. This could be property tax revenues received in January that belong to December. This could be expenses that were delayed and finally paid in the new year that were budgeted in the old. So after doing this analysis, we do our magic within the accounting software to move the numbers accordingly. And as you can see here, for the December 2015 report, we are in a much healthier position than we were in December of 14. These are not necessarily the final numbers. We will have our annual city audits, and the auditor will be doing this field work here at City Hall the first week of May. So we'll look forward to seeing Marshall Decker at that time. Once he has completed his audit and presented his report for council's approval, that's when the numbers will truly be final. In the meantime, the March reports will show, and will seem a little bit misleading, but that's why we have previous year's data to show that we are certainly $150,000 ahead in terms of expenses over revenues in this case, because we pulled all those items out of 16 and put them back into 15. I've also been looking at an idea of presenting year-to-date net revenues before and after adjustments. My only concern is I will be bombarding you with too much information, but that leads back to a point that I've always made, is that whatever we are presenting to council is entirely up to you as to what you want to see. So if you want to see more information or even less information, please tell the Finance Department and we will meet that request. And if we hear nothing, then we'll assume everything's just fine. With respect to sales tax revenues for March, We've got preliminary figures where the general sales tax per Department of Revenue was $173,183, and the 1/8% fire sales tax was $21,640. Compared to March of 2015, these numbers are pretty much the same, no increase or decrease. However, we're happy to say that year-to-date, we are 18% better than this time last year in regarding both those sales tax increments. And I believe, and we'll have more to say about sales tax when we get the remainder of our figures from the department mid-month. And with that, I await your questions.
Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. O'Donnell. Mr. Quickenberg?
Just one I saw, I think it was yesterday, this morning, Springfield put out, they were only like 5.5% up for the year, and they were down last month, so kudos to us for attracting all the sales out to Republic. And I was glad to not see an extra payroll entry for a Cubs left fielder when I came in, too.
Well, let's put it this way, any more injuries and I will once again believe the curse of the billy goat.
Any additional pertinent questions, comments, or discussion for Mr. O'Donnell? Anything at all? Seeing none, would like to have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you very much. Report, Mr. Keeley, anything, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, and Mr. Derricks is not here. He's on a float trip with a big boat. It's on a cruise, so you can't catch that one. And Mr. Brock, we have a short report from you on East Time, sir. Please, take the podium.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to speak to the address to the council tonight is a change in plans for potential change in plans for some street work this year. We originally had it proposed in our budget for 2016 some resurfacing on East Hine Street. That didn't make the first cut through administration, and so you may have seen that presented as an unfunded project for 2016. The condition of East Hines, east of Oakwood Avenue, continues to deteriorate. And so not only internally, but I think amongst city council members, and certainly we've heard some complaints from the residents. The discussion has continued on as to how to make some maintenance improvements out there. After the first of the year, there was some discussion about including East Hines Street into our other federal highway project, Hines west of Oakwood and Oakwood itself. This presents some problems. Federal highway projects are not very good use of local money. You have federal and state prevailing wage laws. You design to federal highway standards. The level of engineering is much higher than a local project, and the right-of-way negotiations are quite formal. For those reasons, local money spent on a federal highway project does not go as far as if we undertook a project on our own. And typically, those kind of projects, our dollar spends about 70, 80 cents on the dollar as if they were otherwise done locally. So rather than try to roll that into our bigger project, what we're proposing is an investment in some basic stormwater and resurfacing improvements with the intention that we will come back 5 to 7 years and undergo major renovations. Now, 5 to 7 years, we will have some money built up again in the federal highway system. We can also do this as we did presently, where we've got an advance on those federal highway dollars. So our present project, Hines and Oakwood, we're using federal highway funds through 2019. So that's where you see the time frame, 5 to 7 years before we can start to build up those funds again, and then seek another advancement for a large-scale project. How large is East Hines going to be? Our engineers did two cost estimates. They did what they called an interim, which was a moderate level of ditching, select pavement improvements, and the only expansion were left turn lanes at some of the major cross streets, Cox, Bailey, and then at Hines Street. Their low-end estimate was $2.5 million. Their high-end estimate to do a complete pavement replacement and a substantial amount of stormwater improvements, $3.6 million. So if we envision the type of improvements that we're undertaking on our current project with Hines and Oakwoods, where we're going 3-lane curb and guttering, that would extrapolate to probably $5.5 or $6 million to construct that type of improvement on East Hines. So what are we proposing? We've got 2 items on the agenda tonight that work towards the plan that I want to lay out for you. Hand up an exhibit here, give you a visual.
Thank you.
We want to, for 2016, focus on about 6,000 feet of area.
It's a red arrow.
Well, I apologize. That is a poor exhibit.
A little over a mile then?
Yes, and I would ask, I emailed out an illustration earlier tonight. That is what I intended to pass out this evening. It has the full extent of the project that I want to discuss with you, as well as a table with our work plan on it.
Mr. Brock, you have, that's on the agenda tonight, correct?
Two related items.
Okay, do you want to wait for on the related items to have time to print out the new copies?
I will come back with those.
Be fine.
Okay.
You want to do that?
Yes. Just real quick, I want to hit the highlights here.
Be fine.
Remainder. The work plan we have is about $107,000. There's about 3/4 of an acre of right-of-way to acquire. We're estimating $20,000. Fencing expenses to relocate fences, about $11,500 in new culverts and ditching, and then a little over $72,000 in milling and asphalt work. And you'll see that $72,000 on a later exhibit here with our contract extension for Bailey Avenue. The area we're going to focus on is from about Bailey Avenue out to Liberty Place Phase 2, and you'll see there that the blue arrow represents what we would come back to and focus on in 2017. So we're shifting priorities. We need to shift some resources. I want to list off some projects that we would defer. We need to generate about $37,000 in resources. So we've got a culvert replacement that we had budgeted for Farmwood 160 that we would defer until 2017, and also a pavement inventory and assessment that we would defer until 2017, and that generates about $35,000. So it gets us right there where we want to be. Any questions? And I do want to just cover again the 2 items that are on the agenda tonight: the equipment rental and the paving contract. If you approve those items, we would essentially see that as a confidence and authorization to move forward on our work plan for 2016 on East Hines.
Thank you, Mayor. That's the report, and we'll get to the agenda item when we get there. Thank you, Mr. Brock. Future community events, Mr. Keeling?
Future community events for the remainder of April.
April 13th, 20th, and 27th, Arthritis Foundation Exercise Program at 1:30 p.m. That's a free event held at the Republic Community Center. April 13th through May the 4th, the Senior Wee Bowl. It's held at the Community Center, and you can contact them for details. April 13th through May 18th is Toddler Tumbling. That's at 5:30 or 6:30 p.m. That's for ages 2 to 5 years old, and pre-registration is required. April 18th and 25th is Toddler Open Gym. Those are Mondays at 9 a.m. for ages 0 to 5. April 18th and 19th is National Park Weekend. There's no interest fee at Wilsons Creek National Battlefield. A week from Friday, April 22nd, is Season 3 opening night at the AMP. Activities begin at 6:30 p.m. with the Republic Branch Library. Also, the zoo will be on hand, and we're showing the movie The Lion King that starts at 7:45 p.m. And finally, April 28th at 3 p.m. is Senior Movie Day. The movie for the seniors will be The Martian. It's a free event held at the Republic Community Center.
Thank you, sir. Board Commissioners and Committee schedule, Board of Adjustments, May 5th, Capital Improvements, April 27th. City Council meetings, April 25th and May 9th. Planning and Zoning is April 18th. On the old business and table items, I'd like to have a motion to have resolution number 16-R-35 removed from the table. Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Resolution number 16-R-35, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, selecting the design for a new city flag. I'd like to have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Gibbon, give us the overview, sir.
Certainly. As you recall at the last meeting, we brought forth 5 designs of a potential new city flag, and obviously the option was to stick with our old one as well. After the discussion of the last meeting, it was City Council desired to see perhaps more options with the old oval part of our old flag incorporated in with the new logo. We brought forth those options here for you tonight. There's 5 or 6 additional options open for discussion. I would ask, once you ultimately decide on one, or we can go back and alter and add more stripes or however you see fit, we do need to put the number of the design into the ordinance, into the resolution, and I can help you assisting with those numbers when you get to that point. So.
Okay, questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Keeley? Again, this is open-ended, as it is.
I do want to say real quick, sorry about that,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Wilson, and Mrs. Poole all submitted ideas. Very thankful for all those, and you see those in your new stuff here tonight.
Mr. Quakenbury, go ahead.
I had the opportunity to talk to several citizens. I thought it might be good to get some input back from citizens on the flag. And most of them, I didn't have, obviously, any of these new designs to show them, but I mentioned that we were looking at possibly keeping the symbol from the old flag. The majority of them all lean towards going with the clean, professional, new look, looking forward. Part of the growing together and looking forward. We got a new city hall coming, things like that, and not, for lack of better words, living in the past. I kind of got from one individual, gave me, I wouldn't have thought of this, but gave me the analogy of flying the missing man formation in the military, where we kind of have the missing spot there, so that we could tell that story for a while afterwards. And they said, you know, we don't fly the missing man formation. You don't fly your flag at half-staff forever. You know, you move on. We had a battle there. We lost it and chose not to go that direction. And it might be good to move forward. In marketing, for me, the number one rule in marketing is to be consistent in your branding. So if you decide to go with that old symbol, you would also want to represent it on your website and on your city trucks and all the different things. And over the last few years, we've been using the new design that we had. So we need to be thinking about being consistent with our branding, and are we wanting to have this other design across all of our stuff. One thing that might be helpful for the public, and just to be on record, Ms. Poole might be able to help us out with this, but maybe it would be good to tell the story of why the flag is the way that it is. There's a lot of people that, when I talk to them, especially from my ward that are newer, don't know the story behind it, and you might be a good one if you're willing to tell how it got to be like that.
Now?
If you're willing to. Not the, give me the abbreviated version. Just, I mean, if someone comes up to you and says, why is there a missing spot on the flag?
Once upon a time, the space that's blank had a fish, and ACLU decided that we wasn't going to have the fish, and we had long meetings with the people from ACLU. We just, and it come down to, at that time, our mayor had said we was going to fight it until we drove it into the sand. Remember him saying that?
I wasn't on council.
You wasn't on council?
I didn't even live here.
Oh, really? I thought you was on council. I'm sorry.
Mr. Wilson was.
No,
Mr.
he
Sherry?
wasn't. No.
You're up to school. It's all
That's
yours.
why I asked.
Well, you have to believe anything I tell you then,
Yes,
don't
ma'am,
you?
we do. This is gospel. We're gospel.
Anyway, when it come right down to voting, whether to keep the fish or to not keep the fish, it was a tie, and the mayor broke the tie that we take the fish off. And he did that because we were facing a lawsuit with ACLU. But all over the country, all over America, all over, even into foreign countries, we got letters about that. And that's why I say I think we should keep that symbol to represent what happened in the past. I think that people should know what we went through, which was not a good thing at the time, very stressful, and we kept the flag, but we took off the fish. And personally, and I know for marketing purposes, I've heard said there's too many colors, too many of this, too many of that, but I really feel like that if this whole council, if the council knew what we went through when that was going on, I think you'd look at it from a different direction than maybe you're looking at it. Have I said enough, or do you want more?
No, I mean, to me, it was the point then to not change it, or you could make it, 3 pie shapes and eliminate whatever. Obviously, the reason to leave it there was so that people would ask you why it's missing, correct?
That's it. That's right. We decided to leave it missing. We could have put something else in there, but it wouldn't have been anything that pertained to church or anything like that. So that's when we decided to leave it blank.
So I guess my question is do we want to continue to have that going forward in the future, is to have people ask questions, why are we still basically flying the missing
Well, it
man
might
formation?
keep people reminded of what happened in those years.
I appreciate you telling the story. Thank you.
Well, if I'd had a little more time, I could have done a little better job.
You did a great job.
Might be a great story for the newspaper to have that out there again.
They're gone already. That'd be the, Good point. Additional comments, questions, you guys are on roll. Mr. Harding? I've got nothing. That's a first. What is your counterpart?
Mr. Keeling, have you had feedback or suggestions from either marketing or staff or
I have not, actually.
Traffic people, or we even looked at that?
Sure, I do want
We're not making
to
any
answer your question, immediate answer, no, I have not gathered any feedback from any of the marketing people. I do want to say, as a point of clarity though, and this is important to get out there, this oval you see here, Mr. Jones kind of made it more graphically appeasing, or someone affiliated with Mr. Jones. What you see here is a slight variation of the families on the flag, modernize it a little bit, and then they put the R right here in the lower left-hand corner. So I did want to make sure you were all aware of that.
Colors are more subdued.
Correct.
Sure.
And matching the logo colors, very correct.
You all do this.
I will say, originally, I was totally against putting the orange with it, but the way they've worked it in, I think it is a way to go to keep both. Of course, most everybody knows what I think of the R, but like this, it's nice, and I appreciate the fact of the way John and Gary and whoever worked on it. I didn't have time. Kathy might have worked on it a little. I did not have time because my daughter's ill, and I just didn't have time to do it.
Are we to make a decision on this tonight?
According to this,
It's a resolution, however, if you do want to postpone it, that'd be totally up to you.
I was just making sure I understand the objective.
Absolutely, and right now, it is still open-ended, which means there, in order to approve, you will need a motion with a number or option. To put that on the agenda, we'll vote on that particular option, and then we will vote on the resolution as it is with that option added in to the resolution. Everybody
Well-
follow that? My wife didn't follow that, but I'm sure council members follow that, right?
up until tonight, when we got this,
Yes, ma'am.
we had no choice except what we had in the other packet.
That is correct.
And personally, I think we need a little more time to look at this.
Okay, that's you, Ms. Poole.
I'd like to make that motion.
What?
Ms. Clinkenbeer, go ahead and ask that.
Would you like to make that motion to table it?
Sure,
I'll second it until next meeting.
You want to go to the next meeting, Ms. Poole?
that'll be fine.
Okay, your motion is to,
Wait until next meeting to make a decision, so we'll have a chance to look at both,
fair enough.
set
We
the
can
flags.
paraphrase that.
No, I seconded the motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to table to the next meeting in April. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions?
Sorry,
motion
Kathy.
carries. Thank you very much.
In the interim, if you'd like to see anything else, please contact us and let us know when we get that generated.
Fair enough. And now to the last item, Councilmember Kathy Hurst. You have been involved in the city since 2005. That's a long time.
10 years.
It's a very long time. Yes, it is, I imagine. We'd like to honor you tonight before we get swearing of the others.
I don't want to let her go, she's my partner.
And crime.
Can I let my partner go?
You want to specify?
Make a train.
Go down there.
Did you mean Mrs. Poole?
No.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks anyway.
Hey, Ms. Poole, just for your knowledge, look. It's the old one. Hold that there. What do you think? Take the slide up and smile. Thank you. And then one more. We're going to give you this one. Yes.
One of those.
Yeah, one last one. Would you like? Yeah, we'll grab your.
Well, you know, It's mixed emotions, guys. It really is.
So I was gonna say, do you have anything to say? You've had a lot of experience here, so.
Oh, gosh, well, not as much as some people here. But, when I decided, when I ran 2 years ago, that would be it, it was based on the fact that 6 years ago, I told my husband and kids that if I got the chance, I would only do it for 6 years, and that was it. And I decided I was going to be a person of my word, because that's very important, and I was going to stick to that. But, you know, this day was coming, and it was really hard. It's been really hard. It's been an honor to serve with all of you. It's been an honor just to serve. I really think it's important that everybody serves in some capacity in this city. We have an amazing city, and it is growing and changing in all the right ways as far as I can see, and that's thanks to all of us, and that's thanks to our great staff. They work really, really hard, and they don't get the recognition or credit that I think they should get half the time. And it is a very hard job, and the people who work here, I can just tell, they love the city. They love it. I love the city. Yeah, I moved here 16 years ago, and I wasn't sure I was staying for the first few months, but it only took about 3 months before I said, this is it, this is where I want to be. And I've loved every minute of it, and I'm not leaving the town, so I'll be around. I think the best compliment that I could ever get was from my daughter, my oldest, who's getting ready to be a mother, who told me the other day while we were out having some girl time that watching me do this has been life-changing for her, and that she hopes that someday that she can follow in my footsteps, which was just, for a parent, that's the most amazing thing you can hear, to have your kids, your grown children tell you that they're proud of you and they want to be like you. So that means that if for nothing else, what I did was worth it. So I'm going to miss all of you. I really am. And I'm not going to cry. So. But I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
Be in church.
That's exactly
Bye. Bye.
I'm crying in baseball.
End of an era.
No crying. It's up to you, Brenda, you're in. You're up.
All right.
Go slur some people.
If I
You
could
wanna-
have the new candidates, yeah, we'll come up here.
Don't be nervous.
You were elected, right?
Recount.
Charlie.
Brandon, watch that paper this time.
All right. If you would, please raise your right hand, repeat after me, fill the blank in with your name. I blank.
I, Jason Mendez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all of the qualifications
prescribed for my office
prescribed for my office
by law,
by law,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Missouri,
and of the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws of this state,
the provisions of all laws of this state,
affecting cities of this class,
affecting cities of this class,
and the ordinances of the City of Republic,
and the ordinances of the City of Republic,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in office.
and that I will faithfully demean myself in office.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. 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 Thank you.
Thank you. Demean yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, she wanted to leave on her own. It is.
What you do, want to make sure we're gonna keep you?
Knock yourself out. It's your son, right?
I know. Yes, it is.
All right, let's check. Yeah, let's check.
Future councilman.
Yep.
Oh, and there he is, future everything, so, just asking.
And welcome, Mr. Greg Smith, Ward
Thank you.
1. Welcome. Forward. You'll get to know all these gentlemen and lady as well over the course of time, so enjoy. At this particular time, we need to elect a mayor pro tem. We do so every year. Currently, Mr. Harder is that. However, we elect every year, so I would entertain a motion to nominate somebody. Mr. Wilson.
I nominate Daniel again.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Other nominations? Would somebody else like to nominate any other individuals? I have to do that, Daniel, sorry.
You gonna nominate somebody, Daniel?
Any other nominations? Okay. Seeing none, nominations closed. I have a motion and a second for Mr. Daniel Harder. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Motion collectively passes 7-0 to 1. On to other items. Other business. Resolution number 16-R-36, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, awarding a bid for water and wastewater SCADA system improvements. Would like to have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Welcome back, Mr. Brock. Give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a very highly anticipated project for the water and wastewater system. This construction contract is the last piece of the puzzle, so to speak, to go to construction. We advertised and solicited 4 bids. We received 2 bids, the first from R.E. Pedrati Company, $205,642. Second bid was from a company out of mid-Missouri, Alelco, $210,000. The low bidder, R.E. Pedrati, is very well known to us. They were one of the primary contractors who built our existing system in the early 1990s. We've relied upon them to perform maintenance, to find replacement parts, and we're quite happy that they came out as a low bidder. The staff recommendation here is to award to the low bid, R.E. Pedrati Company, Inc.
Okay, questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Brock? Anything at all? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you very much. Thank you. On to the next item, resolution number 16-R-37, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, awarding the bid for the replacement of 2 fat oil and grease clogs interceptors at the Republic Senior Friendship Center. Would like to have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Welcome, Mr. Kendall. Please give us an overview, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some months back, the city staff went around to all of the publicly owned buildings here in the city, and conducted inspections of existing fogs interceptors that were in use at that time. The senior center, at the senior center, it was found that there are actually 2 working, somewhat working, fogs interceptors in place. They have been in service for many years, and upon opening those interceptors, it was found that these metal containers were completely rusted out and they are non-effective. At that time, we assumed that it was going to be a very expensive project, roughly estimated to be over $10,000 in cost, and consequently, it was informally shelved for a bit while we were making some considerations. Just about a month ago, we went back, looked at the project again, and from a different angle, so to speak, and came up with another plan to install grease interceptors exactly where they were or where they are right now, and thought that that might result in just as effective of a method of removing the fats, oils, and grease from that facility, and doing so would save quite a bit of money. So at that time, staff solicited companies for bids to come in and take a look at that facility. We sent out invitation to 5 different companies: Far Better Plumbing, Plumrite Plumbing, Clearwater Plumbing, DeLong Plumbing, and Lorenz Plumbing. Of those, 4 accepted the invitation to view the facility prior to bidding. And unfortunately, we only received 1 bid by the prescribed bid date, and that bid was submitted by Clearwater Plumbing for the amount of $5,200, and that's what you see before you tonight.
Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Kendall? Mr. Clinkenberry?
You know, was there a reason why the other ones did not? Was it the type of work that didn't fall into their area of expertise, or
actually,
don't know?
I'm not sure of 2 of those, why 2 of those did not submit. I did talk to 2 of the plumbing companies that did not submit, even though they did an inspection. Both of them were human error and did not get those bids submitted electronically as they thought they had.
Do we feel the bid is in a reasonable price range?
I did make inquiries, informal inquiries, to both of the superintendents of those companies that were planning on submitting bids, and they told me that both of those bids would have been considerably higher than the bid that we did receive.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
What led the 2 companies to believe that they had submitted electronically?
Simply pushing select and walking away from a computer and not having them come out on the other end. Exactly how that happened, I'm not sure, but one of the companies actually called me the next day apologizing, and the second bid, I called the company to find out what had happened, and they said, well, we were going to submit, and we actually had forgotten about it. It was put off to a subordinate within the company, and they had forgotten about it.
Okay, so that wasn't a matter of they thought they did, they just forgot.
I actually, it was found out that there was a little bit of lying going on.
That tends to float to the surface eventually. No pun intended. Anyway.
Wow.
I can say that...
Set that up.
without me divulging what the bid, the winning, or the only bid that we did receive, the other 2 companies that I talked to later on, one of them had said that they were going to submit a bid for $7,200, and the other one said that they were going to submit a bid for $7,500. So the bid that we did receive, and the one that's before you tonight, is from Clearwater Plumbing, and it is a company that has shown themselves to be very good to work with in the past.
Additional questions, comments, discussions? Mr. Harder?
Did they indicate a time frame on how quick they could have this installed?
They said in their bid submission that they needed a 2-week lead time.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions, comments, discussion? Mr. Clinkenberry?
Will this disrupt any service time at the location,
Very
or will
good
they be able to
question.
work around?
Yes, sir. Thank you for asking that question. The senior center actually does provide meals for many seniors and those that cannot get out of their homes each day. And as part of the bid request, or the invitation to bid, it was specified that daily operations would not be interrupted, and any of those that were submitting bids would begin work after 1:30 when kitchen help cleaned up.
Additional questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Kendall. On the next item on the agenda, resolution number 16-R-38, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of an equipment rental agreement with Berry Tractor and Equipment Company. Would like to have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and second. Welcome, Mr. Brock. Give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a rental agreement for a couple large pieces of equipment. Construction equipment would be used in our street reconstruction as well as the rebuilding the parking lot at the senior center. We received 2 bids, one from Berry Equipment, one from Midwest Equipment. Bids were requested for a recycler or a pulverizer as well as a road grader. You can see the results there. I'll give the summary. Berry Equipment's monthly bid for those 2 pieces of equipment, $21,050. Midwest Equipment, just slightly higher, $21,800. It is notable that the pulverizer or the recycler that was proposed by Berry Equipment is a much larger piece of equipment. That would allow the pace of the work to move much quicker than a smaller recycler or pulverizer, and so the recommendation here is award to the low bidder, Berry Equipment, at a rental rate of $21,050 per month.
Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Brock?
Is there much difference between the recyclers as far as the 2 models go?
Yes, that's what I had attempted to point out. The Bomag MPH 122 from Berry Equipment is a much larger piece of equipment. The road graders are very similar, but the pulverizers or the recyclers from Berry Equipment is much larger.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Harder?
How many months do you anticipate, did you already say that?
1 month. 1 month, and that's why we like the larger machine. The quicker that piece of that particular part of the project goes, the quicker we can send that equipment back. Okay.
Additional questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. On the next item, resolution 16-R-39A, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of a contract addendum with Levens Asphalt Construction Company, Inc. for street resurfacing in 2016. Would like to have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
And a second. Mr. Brock, give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. We were proposing to extend Levens Asphalt Construction Company their contract for resurfacing. This is something that we had included in our bid specifications. We're seeing this happen through with a number of other local government entities, Greene County being one. It's a volatile bidding atmosphere out there. Levens, they came back and proposed a pretty good price cut from last year's prices. We knocked them down a couple of additional dollars. The results of being a proposed price for 2016, $49 per ton for work they do before July 1, $51 per ton for work they do after July 1. And that time break there, or date break, is the primary reason for the good pricing they want to offer. Their construction schedule is light in the first half of the year and heavy in the second half of the year. So good opportunity for both entities here. Do you want me to run over East Hines again real quick with the correct?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and pick these up while you're at it?
Look twice. It's a quick one.
Yes.
David, you move her paper over.
I'm sorry, what?
Move her paper on. Thank you.
So I hope this illustration is a better summary of earlier staff report as far as the type of work, the location of the work that we want to do, and our estimated cost. You can see by the color coding, it's not substantial draining improvements that are needed there, but there's a lot of those stretches that they have no ditches at all, and that's kind of the first step we need to do is acquire a little bit of right-of-way, get those ditches in there, get that water away from that road bed. So the contract that is, or addendum that's proposed with Blevins includes a little over $75,000 for resurfacing on East Hines Street. As well as the other streets that we had on the budget for this year. With the good pricing, we were also able to include an overlay. That's Farm Road 174 east of Oakwood to the city limits. That's an additional project that we're able to add with the pricing that we got. On the second page of the exhibit, I show kind of a running total of the cost of different projects and our budget. And you'll see the bottom line there. We need an additional $16,000 to perform all the work that's proposed here, and we've identified a couple of locations in our budget to offset this. One is some stormwater improvements in Scott Circle, which we completed in 2015, and then a small stormwater project on North Allen, which we would propose to defer to 2017. And with those two projects pushed off, then we'd be able to afford the street work that you see here.
Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Brock?
And I do want to make sure I point out this would also include the paving at the senior center.
What was the completion date on this?
The majority of the work, well, the contract addendum would be through the end of the year. The majority of the street work would be prior to July 1. We hope to get the senior center done prior to July 1. The paving on East Hines, with the other right-of-way acquisition stormwater work, we would see that happening late August, early September.
Mr. Wilson?
On Hines there, are you going to cut out and resurface the spots that are cracked and slipped down?
We've already started patching. That work needs to be done regardless of anything else that we do. We've got some soft spots out there. I don't think they're done yet. I think there's some. You'll see that located with the white white paint out there. That type of patching and subsurface repair will probably go on out to ZZ Highway, outside of what we show here for the remainder of the improvements.
I was just asking if that part of it was going to be done before you resurface.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Clinkenberry?
I know we've talked about this before, but my main concern is, you know, all the patchwork and maybe doing a little bit of widening, some ditch work, that type of thing. That's going to be a major artery that really needs the big dollar one that you were talking about earlier. Is that going to be far enough out, or will enough of this be able to be incorporated into that where we're not using the money twice, basically? Can a lot of this money be saved when we go through to do that larger project, or are we going to be tearing up what we're doing now to, you know, because realistically, I really believe that artery needs to be the 3 lanes on most of it, and curb and gutter, and at least a sidewalk on one side to go from the park all the way down to ZZ, so that kids can go both to the park, have access all the way up to Walmart for families, and then out to the high school, going the other direction. It's for both pedestrian, bicycle, and safety on driving, being able to, the emergency vehicles can't even pass people on that road right now. That's a problem along with all the other stuff. So my big thing is that we don't do the cheap resurfacing or patchwork and take up a large chunk of money that could go towards that larger project, or even towards 1 year worth of payments on that large project.
I agree with everything you said, Councilmember. I don't think we can say that 100% of the money we need to invest now will still be there in 5 or 7 years when we come back and do the major overhaul. Particularly if the desire is a 3-lane curb and gutter street. Open ditches don't function well with curb and gutter. So in that case, we would want to change over to a storm sewer system. All the culverts that we're going to put under High Street will be concrete, easily either reused in place, or if a new design calls for a different size, they're pretty easy to reclaim, concrete materials. And as far as pavement replacement goes, until you really have a good geotechnical research, you've gone out and you've done corings and you've seen done testing on what's out there, it's difficult to say whether we'll be able to build on top of that existing roadbed. The concern, I think, is that if we don't do substantial improvements now, it's going to continue to deteriorate, and it's going to deteriorate at a faster rate than what we've seen just the last few years, and we won't make it for 5 to 7 years.
And I've been preaching about this for a few years now. I could see it coming. The road's deteriorating very fast, as you can now see. I guess there's just no feasibility of doing this over the next year to 18 months. Are they realistically looking at 5 to 7 years before they can look at a substantial improvement on that road?
Well, our funding for, if you look in the past, our funding for road improvements was all 100% local, whatever we could afford. With the change in census count, the amount of federal dollars that we were getting is much higher. So the project you see on Huntington Oakwood is essentially an 80-20 split. It's a good use of our federal highway dollars. I don't think that we could afford, may rely on John here, a $5.5 or $6 million project on our own. Much more feasible if our contribution is only 20% instead of 100%. Sure. You look at the size of that project, the investment we're talking about here, $100,000 this year, and probably $60,000 to $80,000 next year. We've got a pretty good drainage structure in that other section. Let's say we go to $200,000. What percentage of that? The way I looked at it is what percentage of that of this large project at $6 million? It's not a huge expense to buy us some time, those years to get to that point.
Obviously that you've gone through it, so we trust our department head's judgments. I just wanted to make sure, because I hear about it all the time from citizens, and a lot of the other council members may not see that because that goes directly through our ward. And when we did that traffic study last year, we did that study right when they closed down M around the high school, and it shifted all the traffic off of Hines for that period of time when we did that study. And I know that Hines is one of our top, not counting US 60 obviously, but our top arteries through down with the high school there, and all the residential that's built up houses are still going that way out at Liberty Place and things. So I can't imagine that being 5 or 7 years out. I just wanted to make sure that we aren't going to be just ripping up and spending that money twice. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me vent.
So I guess we're estimating 4%. We need to spend about 4% of what that big project is going to cost to buy us that time to
Sure.
reach that point.
I guess that's small potatoes to buy that time period. Thank you.
Additional questions, comments, discussion, Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Is the right-of-way that we're purchasing now, that we want to purchase now, is that going to be good down the road whenever we go for the bigger project, 5 to 10 years down the road?
Yes, now that is something that we can buy and move those right-of-way lines out to the point that it matches the other dedications that we have.
I just want to make sure in 5 to 10 years down the road, we're not redoing, purchasing more land, so.
Additional questions, comments, discussion? Anything at all? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Ms. Lee, you guys have copies of the letter she requested.
Okay. Council, Ms. Lee wanted the letters passed out that they were reading, that were read tonight, so I should have a copy of those for you. With that said, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's try one more time. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.